What's going on, everyone? Hey, just finished seeing patients for the morning, have a brief little lunch break. Our Wednesdays are turning out to be pretty busy days. We see all of our corrective care patients in the morning, itchy lip, and then we see our adjustment only patients in the early afternoon for a 2 hour block, which gets pretty packed. But anyway, I'm walking over to this table here. Let me show you. This is like a little getaway. A little secret getaway, so I can get some vitamin D. I can sit here next to the lady with the handicap placard smoking in her car with the engine running in the background. Hopefully she'll move soon, but because it's a little noisy, and airplanes flying overhead. Okay, so what I did is I grabbed a goal sheet that we cover right here, so you can see this. All right. If you're listening to this on a later podcast, you're not going to see this, but I'll describe it and I'll talk through it. But first off, before I talk about this sheet that we designed, I wanted to talk about the goal setting process. And this is something for a long time in practice I never did. I never set tangible goals for a patient. We would have the generic goals, increase range of motion by 25% in 4 weeks, and whatever to put in the notes to do our due diligence in our SOAP note. But I'm talking about real goals, like real tangible goals. Setting an expectation for your patient and then giving them action steps that they need to do to be able to accomplish the goals. So what am I talking about? Well, this is something that all of you can extrapolate into your practice no matter how you practice. You don't all need to be practicing the exact same way that we do, even though I'm biased and I feel like you should. We do corrective care, so we do curve correction, but we also do, we measure movement and we fix movement. And just a little side note, if you haven't grabbed our book yet, you can get it for free. You go to moveawayuniversity.com/book and we'll send it out to you. You cover shipping. It's a quick read. It's 18 chapters. Talks about these kind of principles in there. And I'm telling you, there's a lot of doctors that have got the book that don't do any corrective exercise at all and maybe have no intention of it, but they messaged me that they've gotten a lot of helpful tips and things from it because it's the thought process of putting together a complete clinical model that includes inspiring your patient and motivating them and holding them accountable. Those are the pieces that were always really tough for me because I knew I needed to be doing that for my patients, but I didn't have the systems in place to do it, so I just didn't do it, and it was frustrating for me. And for several years, I didn't set goals for a patient, nor did I hold them accountable for the goals. So now what we're doing is we are actually on our 5th visit, our day 5, we call it the goals visit. Why do we do that? So we never miss setting up goals for a patient. So there's a sheet that we made, just like we have forms and paperwork for everything, but there's a sheet that we made, and there's actually a video that the patient watches prior to us going through their goals to save some of the repetitive language or the explanation that we have as the doctor to patient so that we can just get right to it once we meet with them in person. It's another thing that we've done in our practice and we teach other doctors to do, and we have resources to help with, is automating certain educational steps or procedural steps that doesn't take away from your care at all. It actually adds to it. It leverages your time, and it ensures that you have a consistent, reproducible message that you're able to deliver to your patient each and every time because you have it like in video format, for example. So we have lots of video processes in the clinic. We've never had a single patient complain about it. I mean, I take that back. Maybe in the past when it wasn't pre-framed perfectly as far as explaining the reason why they're going to watch this, we had a couple of people that would be like, what? I got to watch a video? But now as far as how we explain it, people see the benefit. They see it's for their benefit. That's why they're watching it and they love it. And then they are giving us compliments saying, wow, this is so structured and you just have such great systems. And I'm so impressed with your education process and this and that. So here's how this works. I'm going to flip this around for a second. I'm going to explain this goal sheet. Prior to doing that, I'll just explain a couple other things because some of you have not followed Move Away University for a while. There's some pretty big concepts on here that would take a while to explain in full detail. So I'll just give you like the Cliff Notes version when I flip this around and start explaining the sheet. And I'll refer to maybe watching our masterclass if you want more details to find out about like what our belt system of functional movement is. So anyway, let me flip this camera around. Okay. So here we go. So this says clinical roadmap. And what this is, we have activities of daily living. So those are ADLs, right? We are finding out, or we're asking what types of things the patient is not able to do because of their problem. All right, what things that they haven't done in a long time that they want to start doing again. Sometimes people, don't really have like a pain or an issue, but they say, yeah, I used to be able to do X, Y, and Z, and I haven't been able to do it in years, and I'd like to be able to start doing that again. That can be an ADL, and that could fall into a goal as well. So now here's usually how we follow this. Ahead of time, we have this filled out. We have their name, date of birth, date. This is a little tracker as far as how many times they should be doing their home care at home. Okay? So it says 5, 7, 9, 11. It's color coded, so it's red, orange, yellow, green. We do this because people align with this better, knowing, hey, I'm supposed to be sticking to the yellow each week. So if I'm going through a corrective care process of fixing my spine, my movement, my posture, and I'm coming into the clinic twice a week, which is the standard, most common frequency of care for an active corrective care patient in our clinic, then that means 2 of the 9 times of them doing their corrective rehab, the corrective process they've done. So they got 7 left. So it means that 7 times on their own, they're expected to do their home care process. What is the home care process? We go through and explain some of the science behind it. Elastic deformation, plastic deformation, the first 0 to 10 minutes if they're doing any sort of spine remodeling traction to help correct a thoracic hyperkyphosis or start putting a curve into the neck. If they do it for 10 minutes or less, they have absolutely no long-term gain. They're in the elastic phase of tissue deformation. Remember, we're trying to remodel deep tissue, ligament, disc. You need more than 10 minutes. That's plastic deformation. That's what you get into. More than 20 minutes, there's really no benefit. So the goal is to get from really 10 to 20 minutes. Ideally, 20 minutes is what they're going to hit. They work up progressively. Their home care process, they have some prep work. So they have some mobility prep that we teach them. They use the MoveWell Home Mobility Kit, which every single one of our corrective care patients gets because it's all the tools they need where they can follow through with the exercises we map out in our exercise library. They have the tools they need at home to be able to do the protocols we teach them. So they do 6 to 8 minutes of prep for the region of the body that they're doing traction on, whether it's neck, mid back, low back, 20 minutes of traction, 5 to 10 minutes of ice. This is their bare minimum home care if they don't have time to do anything else. However, most of the time they're going to have time to do more than this, which is then work on some of their postural corrective exercises specific to what way their posture shifted, and also start to work on some of their functional movement protocols that we just covered with them, which we have organized in this belt system of functional movement. That's why I see these belts here. Again, this is a whole protocol that we're not going to cover now, but if you want to watch our masterclass, which covers how this whole system works, you can go to movewelluniversity.com/masterclass. But on this Facebook Live, what I listed is the book link. If you haven't grabbed the book yet, you got to start there. You got to grab the book, which is just movewelluniversity.com/book. Okay, now back to this. What we do is we map out, we show them, okay, here's normal range of curve for neck, mid back, low back, and then we write in what they are and then what the goal is. And we have all the specifics of how we calculate the goal clinically for the individual. We have a rhyme and reason to it. We then, let's say it's a thoracic curve. Let's say they have a 70-degree thoracic kyphosis, and our goal is to get them down to like high 50-degree curve in 12 weeks. We can write that in as the goal. I draw a line over here to goal, and I'd put goal number 1, decrease thoracic curve to high 50 degrees. How are they going to do that? I draw another arrow down to here. You need to stay in the green and make sure you're doing your home care combined with in-office work 11 times per week. Yes, very aggressive. You might think, do people actually do this level of home care? They actually do. The vast majority of our patients follow this, and then they reference an online platform that we built called the 12-Week Transformation, which again, I promised I wasn't going to go through all of it here because this would be like a 3-hour Facebook Live. But the 12-Week Transformation is a piece of our systems, piece of MoveWell University. Go to the masterclass, the movewelluniversity.com/masterclass, and you can watch a 90-minute teaching that I do. It's split up in pieces, so it's very easy to jump back in if you don't have time to watch 90 minutes from start to finish. And we talk about the 12-Week Transformation, the belt system, so on. So anyway, we map this out. We set goals. We handle how many times per week they should be in their home care. We have a very high compliance with that, which is awesome. And then functional movement wise, we write in what their functional movement score was. We have our own functional movement testing system called the MoveWell 3, which goes through neck, shoulder, and hip, knees, ankles, back, and core. Those are the 3 pieces. And we map out what their score is. It's a 46-point score. What is their score? And what dysfunctional areas have we flagged that we're going to work on with them? We have 8 different dysfunctional areas we've categorized. It's D1 for dysfunction 1 to dysfunction 8. We flag that in here. Patient now understands the systems because we've taught them this on previous visits. And this kind of is the culmination of here's what you're going to be doing. Here's what you're going to be responsible for the next 12 weeks. Here's our goals for you. And then they're off to the races. And I'm going to flip this around. I can barely even see my screen, so I can see that. Saying awesome book. Well, thanks for sharing. I appreciate it. Glad that you like the book. For those that haven't seen the book yet, grab it. Maybe you'll think it's an awesome book too. I think it's the whole purpose of the book was not to spell out every single detail of what we do and why. It's to give you like the 10,000 foot view to see if it's something that resonates with you and something that you might want to start implementing or moving towards in your practice. Because at least for me and all the doctors that we work with, the thing that I see that's in common is they're trying to find a higher level of clinical care for one. They then want a better way to actually make true changes with their patients and feel like they're changing people's lives like to a fuller extent. What do I mean by that? There's a lot of variables to handle when you're trying to help someone change their life. And you only have so much time in the day. So if you want to help a lot of people and you know what you have is really good and you want to share it to the masses, but you don't want to just be a one-trick pony, do a 3-minute adjustment and then not be able to handle any of the other variables that actually make that adjustment last for more than, an hour to 24 hours to a week. Basically, you have to figure out how to leverage your time, and you do that with automation and with systems, and that's a big part of our program is like, forms and paperwork like this. So that's just one piece of what is important. It's covering setting goals, and then how do you take them through it? The reason why you want to set goals, it keeps them inspired. It's what they want, keeps them on track, motivates them. It lends to them referring other patients in because they say this is the most complete type of care I've ever seen. Patients are impressed by it. We hear this all the time. I'm walking into the clinic right now. That's my lunch break. Time to see patients again. And let's see what's going on. Check this out. Dr. Zach did you just draw this out? Oh, that's the one that Kaylee drew.
No, it's the original one.
This isn't.
Still trying to figure it out.
Okay, well, it's getting there. You want to say hi on Facebook Live?
Hey, how's it going?
All right, let's back. All right, so anyway, with that said, if you got some benefit from what I just covered, or if you have some comments or feedback, please comment below. Share this with the chiropractors you think might benefit from this, and grab the book if you haven't already, movewelluniversity.com/book, and we'll send it out to you. You cover shipping, we'll take care of the book, and it's back to work. I have another like 25 or 30 patients in the next couple of hours that are adjustment-only patients. Either they've already gone through corrective care, or they're the very, very small percentage that didn't want to go through corrective care. They're out there. It's a small percentage, but they're out there. So, if you have some questions about how we put our schedule together too, we can talk about that. We have some wisdom to share on that. That's worked really, really well as far as how to